Bermuda Triangle mystery solved. Welcome to the video, guys. The Bermuda Triangle is a mythical section of the Atlantic Ocean roughly bounded by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, where dozens of ships and airplanes have disappeared. A mystery that has puzzled scientists for years has been solved, as one scientist claims that finally, he knows what's behind the Bermuda Triangle disappearances. Let's take a look at what he has found in his research. Karl Kruszelnicki, the Australian scientist, defied 70 years of speculation. A skeptical scientist has dared to declare that the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle has been solved by claiming there was no mystery in the first place. Karl Kruszelnicki has insisted that the ships and planes that vanished in the area between Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico has nothing to do with aliens or fire crystals from the lost city of Atlantis. Instead, the Australian scientist thinks that the high number of disappearances is nothing more than the human error plus bad weather and the fact that lots of planes and ships enter that area of the Atlantic Ocean in the first place. Mr. Kruszelnicki rightly said that not only does the Bermuda Triangle consist of a 700,000 square kilometer swath of the ocean, it is also a very busy patch of sea, as it is close to the equator, near a wealthy part of the world, therefore you have a lot of traffic, he said. So, when you compare the number of disappearances to a large number of ships and planes passing through the Bermuda Triangle, you find there is nothing out of the ordinary about the area at all. Mr. Kruszelnicki thinks that the number that went missing in the Bermuda Triangle is the same as anywhere else in the world on a percentage basis. The same count would have gone missing in the Bridgewater Triangle, Bennington Triangle, Dragon's Triangle, etc. But the controversy of Bermuda has been taken out of proportion. Mr. Kruszelnicki, who has a fellowship at Sydney University for communicating science to the broader community, also said there were simple explanations for the disappearance that did the most to start the whole Bermuda Triangle speculation: the loss of Flight 19. Flight 19 had 5 U.S. Navy TBM Avenger torpedo bombers that set off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida on December 5, 1945, for a routine 2-hour training mission over the Atlantic. After losing radio contact with their base, all 5 planes vanished. No trace of them or their 14 crew members were found. Even more spookily, another PBM Mariner seaplane dispatched that night on a rescue mission to find Flight 19 also disappeared, along with its 13-people crew. In the absence of either knowledge or fact-checking, speculation about Flight 19 became a growth industry, especially after 1964, when the writer Vincent Gaddis advanced his theories in an article called The Deadly Bermuda Triangle. Whatever this menace that lurks within a triangle of tragedy so close to home, it was responsible for the most incredible mystery in the history of aviation, the Lost Patrol. This relatively limited area is the scene of disappearances that total far beyond the laws of chance. Its history of mystery dates back to the never-explained, enigmatic light observed by Columbus when he first approached his landfall in the Bahamas. Disagreeing with the controversies, Mr. Kruszelnicki also offered simple explanations for the loss of Flight 19. For a start, he disagrees. Gaddis' suggestion the patrol vanished in ideal flight conditions. It wasn't fine weather. There were 15-meter waves. Moreover, Mr. Kruszelnicki added that the only truly experienced pilot in the flight was its leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, who could have made a mistake. That day, Charles arrived with a hangover, flew off without a watch, and had a history of getting lost and ditching his plane twice before. Radio transcripts from before the patrol vanished made it clear that Flight 19 had become unsure of its position. The transcripts show Lieutenant Taylor thought his compass had malfunctioned and that he was above the Florida Keys, a string of islands stretching to the southwest of the United States mainland. The statement was contradicted later by ground staff saying he was to the southwest, near an island in the Bahamas. Mr. Kruzelnicki said Lieutenant Taylor overruled a junior pilot who said they should turn west and insisted the patrol fly east, unwittingly taking them further into the Atlantic, above deep water where it might be harder to find sunken planes or bodies. "If you read the radio transcripts," said Mr. Kruzelnicki, "some of the junior pilots are saying, 'Why don't we fly to the west?' And the pilot says, 'Why don't we fly to the east?'" On questioning about the other plane, Mr. Kruzelnicki said it was the fate of the search and rescue seaplane that, according to Gaddis and others, also vanished. "It didn't vanish without a trace," said Mr. Kruzelnicki. "It was seen to blow up." There were several witnesses to the explosion, and oil slick and debris were found, and after the disaster, the US Navy grounded all other PBM Mariner seaplanes. The aircraft had already gained the ominous nickname, Flying Gas Tanks. It is still unknown that if Mr. Kruzelnicki would be able to end this controversy or not. Very similar efforts have been made in the past. Lloyd's of London has been saying that the Bermuda Triangle disappearances occur at the same rate as everywhere else since at least 1975. By 1977, the Bermuda Triangle had gained such mass appeal that Steven Spielberg depicted in his fictional film Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which depicted the crews of Flight 19 as having been abducted by aliens. In 1997, a spokesman also seemed convinced with the claim that there are just as many losses as in other wide expanses of the ocean, by adding that insurance premiums for voyages through the Bermuda Triangle were no higher than for any other routine sea journey. And even though Berlitz's bestseller linked the Mary Celeste to the Bermuda Triangle, even though the ship had been found abandoned off to the Azores, on the other side of the Atlantic, and its New York, Italy route would have never taken it anywhere near the triangle. It is now possible to go online and find theories that dismiss such absurd notions as planes and ships disappearing into some sort of black hole or time warp within the Bermuda Triangle, and instead explain, the Bermuda Triangle is situated more or less in the middle of an area of the Atlantic Ocean that once housed Atlantis. When Atlantis was destroyed, it sank to the very bottom of the ocean. While the ruined temples now play host to strange underwater creatures, the great Atlantean fire crystals that once provided so much of the tremendous power and energy that was found in Atlantis still exist. And they are still emitting strong energy beams into the universe. From time to time, the force field emitted by these damaged Atlantean fire crystals becomes very powerful, and any plane or ship coming within the influence of this force field disintegrates and is transformed into pure energy. New theories are constantly being put forward, some with a kernel of scientific truth to them. Even more spookily, it was later claimed a PBM Mariner seaplane dispatched that night on a search and rescue mission to find Flight 19 also disappeared along with its 13 crew. After losing radio contact with their base, all 5 planes vanished. No trace of them or their 14 crew members were found. Mr. Kruzelnicki said Lieutenant Taylor overruled a junior pilot who said they should turn west and insisted the patrol fly east, unwittingly taking them further into the Atlantic, above deep water where it might be harder to find sunken planes or bodies. He says that in some cases, there's no records of the ships and planes claimed to have been found in the aquatic triangular graveyard. They never existed outside of the writer's imagination. In other cases, the ships and planes were real enough, but Berlitz and others neglected to mention that they've mysteriously disappeared during bad storms. Other times, the vessels sank far outside the Bermuda Triangle. There are some real boats and ships that have gone missing in the region, but seeing as it's one that's frequented by tankers, cruise ships, charter planes, and small pleasure ships, as well as the location of Hurricane Alley and the notorious Gulf Stream, that's not all that surprising. Well, we hope that his theories put an end to the mystery behind the Bermudas, and people start believing that no supernatural power exists there. That is all for now, guys. If you liked the video, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon.